10 p.m. for the stabbing and found the victim in the laundry room. Few details have been shared beyond that, but police say they're searching now for a man between 5'6" and 5'8", wearing a vest with a button-up shirt and blue jeans.
All right. I'm going to carry my bag. No. That's what I'm carrying.
Morgan Ashley, bringing you the content that connects our communities. You're watching NonStop Local Pulse Prime.
Well, good evening. I'm Morgan Ashley, and a big story tonight. St. John School District employees behind bars following a weekend arrest in Whitman County. It's a first-grade teacher who is charged with first-degree sexual misconduct with a minor. The person charged is 25-year-old Mackenzie Knott, and the judge has set her bond at $10,000. Court documents say Knott's husband told police he was very upset because he found out his wife was cheating on him with a 16-year-old student. He says he has screenshots to prove it, one of those allegedly being from him to the student, where the boy admits to sleeping with the teacher. The St. John School District did release a statement on Sunday saying they're aware of the allegations, and while the district did not name the employee, they stated she is now on leave. The district is conducting their own investigation, adding it will cooperate with law enforcement. The judge is giving the state until Wednesday at 3 p.m. to file any additional charges. Knott's next court appearance is scheduled for Friday morning. Some new information tonight surrounding a deadly shooting near the State Line Speedway in Post Falls. Now the suspect is facing charges. The suspect in that case is Edsel Johnson. He's facing murder in the first degree, a capital offense. NonStop Local's Belle Lewis spoke to a man who says his DoorDash order was really at the center of these events.
I didn't know what was going on. So I walked up towards the gate, realized, oh, the traffic's really backed up. I apologized, and I went into text like, hey, I'll walk out there and I'll walk to you. And the next thing I know, a gunshot goes off.
That's a father of three we'll identify only as John. John tells me when he got to the Lantern Festival, he noticed they didn't have quite enough formula to feed their 1-month-old. But parking in that area during events can be difficult. So he said he arranged to DoorDash the formula to outside of the front gate. It was about an hour later that court documents say a man named Edsel Johnson was arrested for allegedly shooting a pedestrian in front of the State Line Speedway. He later told investigators at the scene that he was a DoorDasher and he regretted taking the job to deliver the infant formula.
I'm going to set bond in the amount of $2 million.
In court, the prosecution pointing to what they called a history of violence, including a 2014 conviction for reckless driving in Florida. They also pointed to the circumstances leading up to the shooting. The defense team claimed that Johnson was acting in response to the victims hitting the car prior to the shooting, calling the action self-defense and asking for a lower bond due to family ties and his employment as a DoorDasher. But the judge setting that bond at $2 million, citing public safety concerns. Next for Johnson is going to be a pretrial conference that has to be held within 14 days of him being in custody. Again, that's scheduled for the next 14 days. In Idaho, Belle Lewis, NonStop Local.
That was Belle Lewis reporting for us. Developing now, changes coming for psychiatric care at Providence Sacred Heart in Spokane. The hospital is moving away from its psych triage services to a new department staffed by licensed therapists. They say they do want to do this to better meet the evolving needs of the community. And while the change eliminates those positions, one person who works in the psych unit at Sacred Heart told us they are concerned and believe this will only strain an already overwhelmed behavioral health system. Providence says the changes take effect July 14th and say there will not be an interruption in care during the transition. In a health alert, the Benton Franklin Health District is warning about food safety risks linked to some roadside vendors across the Tri-Cities. Brendan Jen spoke with health officials about the crackdown on unpermitted food carts and what you should be looking for before buying.
We want to really make sure we're supporting our permitted businesses, our small businesses.
The Benton Franklin Health District is cracking down on roadside food vending across the Tri-Cities, saying some vendors are operating without following health and safety rules.
We do know that we have seen in the last few years a pretty sharp increase in our numbers of unpermitted vendors, mostly because we believe they're tied in with a specific kind of ring of vendors that's operating all up the West Coast.
Surveillance and Investigation Director Aaron Hockaday says 7 unpermitted food vendors have already been closed this year across the Tri-Cities.
6 have been fruit carts, and 1 has been kind of a pop-up taco type vendor.
The health district has 10 inspectors randomly checking businesses each day, and vendors must be inspected every 6 months. Aaliyah Jensen, food safety supervisor, says every vendor must have a valid permit on site.
When we permit someone, we go through where they're getting their food, how they're transporting it, how they're preparing it, how they're serving it, so making sure they have the proper hand wash set up, or if they need produce washing, make sure they have all of that stuff.
Many unpermitted roadside fruit carts don't have hand washing stations or temperature control, increasing the risk of illness.
They're not going through a kill step, so they're not being cooked or anything like that, which makes them really risky.
The health district doesn't have any reports of unpermitted vendors causing sicknesses this year, but they have caused problems in the past.
In Idaho last year, they had a pretty significant outbreak that was linked to one of these unpermitted vendors that we believe is kind of linked in with the same ring of vendors that's coming here.
Before buying from a roadside vendor, you should always check to make sure the seller has a valid permit.
What we've been seeing with these particular unpermitted vendors, they haven't shown an interest in getting permitted, but that's always our first goal, is to bring people into compliance and help guide them there.
In Kennewick, Brendan Jin, NonStop Local.
Well, here is a look outside tonight. It's been a beautiful day so far, and you can see the remnants of that from this photo here. Tori Smith tracking our forecast for us tonight. And things are about to get a little warmer.
I know, things are going to get warmer. We also have quite the change in the weather system coming. That's by the time we get to Wednesday. We're expecting some of those showers. In the meantime, it is just beautiful outside. We saw a live look over downtown, and we're still seeing the sunset as of this evening. It's just past 9, and you can definitely still see the sun. So summer is on the horizon. 58 degrees towards Tri-Cities right now, 64 for Yakima, and winds are very calm. We have high pressure ridging up towards the north. That's going to keep us nice and sunny as we start your Tuesday. But as we head into Wednesday, things are going to start to take a turn. This starts as soon as about Tuesday evening. We have the first round of some showers moving through our forecast, and widespread showers and thunderstorms are expected for your Wednesday. So definitely expect a little bit of a wet Wednesday ahead. Anywhere from about 1/10 of an inch of precipitation to even 1/4 inch of precipitation is definitely possible. Morgan, back to you.
All right, sounds good. Thank you, Tori. Well, this time of year looks a little different for the Spokane Chiefs than last year. AJ Hall joins us now in studio. AJ, what did we find out about the Chiefs' future?
Something exciting.
Okay.
First of all, and it's a lot of information. A year ago today, the Spokane Chiefs, they were still in the WHL playoffs. This year, their season ended over a month ago, but now they're celebrating coaching news instead of playoff wins. Head coach Brad Lauer signing an extension to stay in Spokane a little longer. His original agreement had him here for another year, but he signed another multi-year deal, as did assistant coach Jake Toporowski, who joined the organization ahead of last season. The Chiefs parting ways with associate coach Brian Pellerin by not exercising his third-year option. Director of Player Personnel George Ross promoted to assistant general manager in the changes as well. Lauer boasting 2 playoff appearances and a Western Conference championship, earning him finalist honors for the WHL Coach of the Year. So here's the rundown of what is changing. Head coach Brad Lauer extended, assistant coach Jake Toporowski extended, and director of player personnel George Ross promoted to assistant general manager. In 4 months, we'll get to see them in action for the upcoming season, and that sounds like a long time because it's warm outside also, but it's going to fly.
That's true, but fans obviously very excited about the news.
Yes.
Consistency is good.
That's good.
All right, thanks so much, AJ. Well, sharing the good, 6 bystanders saved a man from drowning at a pool of a local hotel. And now Spokane Valley Fire is honoring the group for their heroic actions. NonStop Local's Rosemary Wright has more on that fateful April day.
If someone stopped breathing, would you be ready to save a life at a moment's notice? That's the question that 4 high schoolers and 2 employees of a local hotel were faced with when a man started to drown in the pool. April 18th at the pool of the Mirabeau Hotel, one of the teens tells me she saw a man lying still in the deep end.
Luckily, I was able to realize that someone is down in the pool, not conscious, so I dived down in.
That's Ray Overby. She tells me she started CPR and then, along the other bystanders, saved that man's life.
They told us that kids nowadays just record the incident, not jump in, and I think we did a pretty good job of helping him.
Their bravery recognized Monday evening. The 6 involved in the near drowning receiving the SVFD Life Saving Award.
As soon as that gentleman was underwater and on the bottom of the pool unconscious, he's essentially considered dead, right? His heart isn't beating anymore, he's not breathing anymore, and so every second counts.
Now, Ben and Ray say they learned CPR just 3 weeks ago as part of University High's curriculum. Luckily, they weren't afraid to use it.
Every minute, the likelihood of saving goes down.
The fire captain says the minutes this man may have spent at the bottom of the pool waiting for first responders could not be spared. In Spokane Valley, Rosemary Wright, NonStop Local.
And congratulations to all of them for doing the right thing. Still to come here tonight, fire restrictions are ramping up in our area with the warmer temps and drier conditions. What you need to keep in mind as you head into the great outdoors. And then hoping to make it a yearly tradition, the Armed Forces Trades Day. Looking at the next generation, a look at what happened today in Liberty Lake.
And we are tracking some of the hot weather across the inland northwest as of your Tuesday, with big changes in the forecast for Wednesday. We'll be right back after the break.
Thanks for watching this evening. To get live NonStop Local news, weather, and sports coverage day or night, download the NonStop Local app. We're on it.
Content connecting community. You're watching The Pulse.
I'm Bradley Warren. This is The Pulse. Passengers from a cruise ship that was hit by the deadly outbreak of the hantavirus, they're back home. 17 Americans were on that cruise ship. They arrived in Omaha, Nebraska today. This is Health and Human Service Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr. says the outbreak is under control. 3 cruise ship passengers have died and 6 people, they were confirmed or suspected of having cases. They're being quarantined right now. That's according to the World Health Organization. The Supreme Court has extended a short-term order that will allow women to continue to access the abortion pill mifepristone through telehealth visits. It comes about 4 years after the conservative majority overturned Roe v. Wade and allowed more than a dozen states to effectively ban abortion outright. President Donald Trump says he will move to suspend the federal tax on gasoline to help Americans deal with rising fuel prices, this due to the war in Iran.
How long are you going to suspend that tax for?
Till it's appropriate, yeah. Till
Mr. President,
it's a small percentage, but it's still money.
Yeah, the proposal would require, of course, congressional approval. Washington State sits currently at the highest in the nation for gas prices. I did reach out to Senator Patty Murray's office, and she sits on appropriations. I look to have an answer for you very shortly from her. For now, though, I'm Bradley Warren. Thanks for being with us. This was The Pulse.
Well, as we approach the warmer months, of course, you want to keep an eye on fire restrictions that are going to be taking effect on all Bureau of Land Management lands, especially in Washington state. So the BLM and Wildland Fire Service say the restrictions are aimed at reducing human-caused fires as drier weather arrives. So starting May 14th, all fireworks, exploding targets, steel ammunition, tracer devices, and sky lanterns will be banned from BLM land because any small spark can start a massive fire. It is a hefty fine if you break the law, and you could also end up in jail for starting wildland fires on federal land. So be careful and be smart about your next trip to the great outdoors. Well, next you're looking at some video of repairs last week at the intersection of Napa and Trent in Spokane after a pipe burst flooding the street. That pipe served the city since 1974 before failing. Now the city is looking to bring some 21st century technology into the fray to help prevent failures like this before, of course, they happen again. And actually, the city is considering a contract with Residtech Global to utilize its expertise with machine learning risk assessments. The city has more than 1,000 miles of drinking water pipelines, half of which is at least 50 years old. If approved, the contract would begin June 1st and could last up to 3 years, helping the city prioritize replacement projects and improve water efficiency. Well, earlier today, the Armed Forces Trades Day at the Hub Sports Center showcased several different branches and the STEM-based programs available in the military, all with the hopes of motivating the next generation. Those we spoke with say a career with the military instills discipline while also helping you get paid to learn useful skills. It was open to the public, and they're hoping to make it an annual event.
Clearing skies for this evening across the inland northwest. We're expecting just a couple of clouds as you head towards the coast for this evening. Current temperatures into those 60s, mid 60s to even upper 60s for Spokane and Coeur d'Alene. It's going to be cooling off very quickly as we lose the sunshine. 58 for Ellensburg right now, 64 in Yakima. Temperatures overnight going to be into the mid to even upper 40s for Moses Lake down to Tri-Cities and Yakima, areas in Spokane, Coeur d'Alene, Bonners Ferry, and Chewelah into the mid 40s. And that's what you're going to be feeling right about 6 a.m. for tomorrow morning. We're going to keep the sunshine through the early part of your Tuesday. A couple of clouds will start to develop along the Cascade Mountain Range. But if you're north or if you're close to the inland northwest, you'll be seeing nothing but sunshine and warmer temperatures all the way through the early afternoon. We're expecting those highs right at about 83 in Spokane, 86 in Coeur d'Alene, possibly the hottest day of the year so far. Areas topping out into the 90s are going to be Tri-Cities, over towards Walla Walla very likely, Velsey Valley, and even towards Orofino. May possibly even see a temperature of 95 degrees for tomorrow. We've had high pressure ridge after high pressure ridge. This has been keeping that warm air in place, but the upper level pattern is going to be soon to be changing as soon as we get to your Wednesday. We have low pressure starting to develop off the coast, and this will create not only breezy conditions but also bring us our next chance of precipitation here on the east side of the Cascade Mountain Range. The next system I'm eyeing possibly for this weekend is going to be the low pressure that is very far out right now, but this one is still a little bit too early to determine if there's going to be another ridge that makes it up just in the nick of time for this weekend. So in the meantime, what we're looking for Wednesday, mostly cloudy skies, elevated rain chances, and thunderstorms are going to be likely area-wide. The most severe of the thunderstorms are going to be towards central Montana. Non-severe thunderstorms are expected between Washington, Oregon, Idaho, and even into northern Montana. A cold front starts to develop by Wednesday morning, and this will bring not only that precipitation, but also some gusty winds behind it. Areas along the Columbia Basin seeing anywhere up to about 55-mile-per-hour winds could be expected. Areas in Spokane, Coeur d'Alene seeing closer to about 35-mile-per-hour wind gusts. Expected rainfall anywhere from 1/10 of an inch down further south to anywhere to a quarter or even half inch of rain further north. Here's a look at those wind gusts breezing all the way through your Wednesday, and you can see the range of wind gusts happening here on this map. As we head into the next 7 days, temperatures are going to start to gradually cool off to average for this time of year. We are expecting possibly a late season frost in Spokane by Saturday.
Well, coming up next, both Gonzaga and Washington State have exciting weeks ahead as their season winds down or it picks up.
From the Northern Quest Sports Studio, this is SWX NonStop Local Sports.
It's been a fun beginning of the end of the college baseball season for our teams here in the Inland Northwest. The Cougars boasting their 6th straight series victory over the weekend, the first time they've done that since 1995. And the Bulldogs, meanwhile, dominating the WCC with a 19-5 record. They're the West Coast Conference regular season champs, securing that title on Eric Swim's no-hitter, the 6th in Gonzaga history. The WCC tournament is looming. The Washington State Cougars clinched a spot in the upcoming Mountain West Conference tournament, earning conference-wide attention this week with Gavin Roy being named Conference Player of the Week, plus Trevor Smith being named Freshman of the Week. The very last regular season West Coast Conference event that Gonzaga is involved in. First pitch Thursday at 6 p.m., and you'll be able to watch it live on SWX. The series versus Seattle U ending on Saturday afternoon. For the Cougars, their regular season ends earlier, also facing Seattle U. That'll be on Tuesday, just one game. First pitch at 4:05, and we'll have you covered there as well. The Spokane Indians' start to the season, well, it's been a little bit rough, but there's a chance that they could turn it around, and maybe even right here in Spokane. First, they'll be on the road at Hillsboro this week, the only team below them in the standings, so a chance to get ahead and secure some wins. Then they host the Vancouver Canadians, a team tied with them in the standings currently. Tuesday night at 6:35, first pitch for the series versus the Hops. Now the Mariners also looking for a chance to shift that momentum, hopefully get back in the win column, starting fresh with a new series versus rival Houston Astros. So I don't know if there's a better time to turn things around. Already up one in the second inning when Cole Young adds two with an RBI single in the same inning. Julio Rodriguez turned things up a notch with a solo shot in the third to make it 3-0. George Kirby goes 5 innings, giving up 7 hits, but just 1 run. 3-1 Seattle, the final. Another 3 games for the M's to dominate or for Houston to come back. We'll see. That'll happen this week. We'll be back after the break. Well, sharing the good tonight after a tough season last year, a Massachusetts softball team is turning it around thanks to an amazing pitcher. So she's one of the 8th graders, Reagan Bryant, who's giving so many of her opponents problems. Last season, she made varsity for the first time as a 7th grader, and then she made history by throwing 20 strikeouts in a game. Her coach says she might be the first documented 7th grader to achieve this for their team.
I worked so hard for my teammates, and I wanted to throw those perfect games for them too.
Sometimes it gets boring in the outfield when no one's hitting off of her, so I'm just like, wait, she's pitching a no-hitter, so it's awesome because she's so young.
I think we have to play good for Regan because she's working her butt off on the mound.
Reagan is doing it again this year, throwing a perfect game and no-hitter within the same week. She heads to high school next year, but for now she's focusing on this season, the possibility of taking her team to the season tournament. All right, have a wonderful night, everyone. We'll see you right back here tomorrow.
Morgan Ashley, bringing you the content that connects our communities. You're watching